Now we connect with Nick Kypreos from Hockey Central at Sportsnet. And Nick, you must be just itching to get at it tomorrow, big deadline day. I know your BlackBerry goes off in one hand, your iPhone in the other. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You just kind of roll with it. It's a spontaneous day, to say the least. You just never know what's going to be on the other end of a phone call, and but it's a fun day, Jody. I got to admit, it is. It's fun getting together with a big group and finding out what happens in the NHL world.
I love it because it all happens live and right in front of us on TV. I'm always locked on trade deadline day. All of us here in Vancouver are wondering a number of things, and let's go through the laundry list. And let's start with Roberto Luongo, the goaltending controversy that came out of nowhere, it seems, after the Heritage Classic, when John Tortorella opted to start Eddie Lack in place of Roberto Luongo. Now the speculation is, are they trying to showcase Lack, or is Luongo, are they trying to keep him from being injured and he's on the block? What do you see?
I see nothing, to be quite honest with you, Jody, and we've been down this path before with Luongo. Ryan Miller probably told us a lot about how difficult of a goaltending market there is out there. When it was all said and done, there was really just one team that would take Ryan Miller, and that's the St. Louis Blues. So when you factor in that Marty Brodeur wants out in terms of salvaging maybe another year on his tremendous career, where is there room for Luongo out there? The only thing that Vancouver Canucks can do is try to calm him down, weather the storm, and really think long and hard about buying him out this summer, because they have one more crack out of getting out of that contract with a buyout. They need to go down that direction.
Luongo is one of the best follows on Twitter at Strongbone1. He keeps things light and inside the room. Do you think this is getting into the guys' heads in terms of, who they are playing in front of?
Well, there's a level of frustration for sure, I think, in that dress room. Eddie Lack's, I'm with Tortorella. He's done everything and more that's asked for him, and on many nights he's really given them a chance to win. But the problem isn't in net right now. It's everything in front of them, and they're leaking oil everywhere, and there seems to be uncertainty. Obviously, the Sedins have not had the year that they were hoping, and now you factor in Ryan Kessler's situation, and there needs to be a lot of dust that needs to be settled in the next 24 hours before you can think about getting yourself back in a playoff race. This next 24 hours will tell you a lot about the Vancouver Canucks and how this season will be played out.
What are you hearing? Do you think Kessler asked for a trade?
I think that it was the opposite. You want my opinion?
Yes.
I'll tell you that I believe that the Vancouver Canucks went up to Kessler and were aggressively telling him, we'd like to move you because we believe that we can improve the team the fastest way with you. And of course, he's not going to stop it. If he feels like this is the best way to go, then he'll give you a short list, and that's what he's done with the Eastern Conference teams like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Despite what everybody tells me about his relationship with Alain Vigneault, I hear that he'd welcome a trade to the Rangers. I don't believe for a second the Rangers will have the assets of the Flyers or the Penguins. But they're still kicking tires, and Detroit as well. I don't think that they have what it takes to pull this thing off. A betting man says, in my opinion, the Philadelphia Flyers, the original team that put in the offer sheet for him that started this whole thing, will be there, I think, at the end.
Okay, now let's move away from the Vancouver Canucks just ever so briefly here. I know fans are just rabid about that, but deadline day, what's the one move you see coming down the pipe that we all should be prepared for?
Well, the interesting one for me is Marty St Louis and how this whole thing evolved when the original Team Canada roster was announced. Nobody really saw this coming, but he was pretty emotional, a few days after, and probably that's what really triggered the fact that he wants to be traded. He's got another year on his contract, which says that Stevie Yzerman doesn't have to make this trade if he doesn't feel like the assets in return are good enough. The problem with Stevie Yzerman right now is that the only place he wants to go is the New York Rangers. So Glenn Sather's going to take full advantage of this in terms of not possibly giving him as much as he'd like. This one will also be played right down to the 11th hour at the trade deadline.
And you'll be working for likely 11+ hours. It's Hockey Central Deadline Day. Insider Nick Kypreos from Sportsnet joining us here to give us that preview. Make sure you are tuned in Wednesday, March 5th, which is tomorrow morning, starting at, is that right, 2 a.m. Pacific time? Look at you go. Nick
Jody,
Kypreos.
you're scaring me now. I don't think that's in my contract, 2 a.m.
Read the fine print, my friend. Thanks for joining us, Kipper. Always love having you on BT. Thank you for this.
My pleasure, Jody.